Here, we'll add text at a point. Point type is a horizontal or vertical line of text that begins where you click and expands as you enter characters. Each line of text is independent. The line expands or shrinks as you edit, but it doesn't wrap to the next text line unless you add a paragraph return or a soft return. So here we are on the first artboard. I'm going to select my type tool, and I think I'll zoom in so we can see. So I'm just going to select the type tool and click on the artboard, and we see some lorem ipsum that's filled there. But I'm just going to start typing pi o pi hyphen 123 cheese hyphen plus many more exclamation point. And so this is an example of point type. And entering text this way is useful for adding a headline or a few words to our artwork. Now, if I select this text with the selection tool, I can drag the lower right bounding point of the text down and out to enlarge it. However, don't ever do that in Illustrator because it disturbs the scale of the text, and it stretches it out, and it results in type that is not true to the character of the typeface. So you can see how it distorts it. It does make it larger, but we have other tools to make our text larger. So don't ever enlarge your text doing it that way because it does distort the text. So now we'll add some area type. An area type uses the boundaries of an object, like a rectangle, to control the flow of characters, either horizontally or vertically. So I'll select the second artboard, and we'll create some area type. Actually, I'll stay on that first artboard and just zoom in to the lower part of the artboard, and I'll select the type tool, and I'll move it down in that blank area of the artboard, and I'm just going to click and drag down and to the right to create a text area that's about 1 inch wide. And you can see that the type object is filled with placeholder text, which we'll replace with our own. And I'll just type Saturday/Sunday 2 p.m. Highview Park. And as I type, you can notice how the text wraps horizontally to fit within the type area. And I'll get my selection tool and just use that to drag the bounding point of the type area left and right so you can see how the text moves to fill the text box. Now, when you create an area type, the type area will not resize to fit the text within. But we can do that with auto sizing. So with the text area selected, look at the bottom middle bounding point and you'll see a little widget indicating that the type area is not set to auto size. However, if I hover my cursor over that widget and double click, it will change to shrink and fit the type area. So there it just moved up to fit within the type area. Now we can still add type and the box will expand automatically. So I'll get my type tool and I'll click immediately after the word park, and I'll press enter and type Raleigh, North Carolina. And you can see how the type area box is expanding to fit the text that I'm entering. So we actually don't want that type there, so I'm just going to select that text and delete it. Now we can convert between area type and point type if we like. This can be useful if we're typing a headline by clicking, and it can also be useful if we paste text from other programs. So with the selection tool, I'm going to press Option on the Mac or Alt on the Windows and drag the type area I just created over to the right side. I'll just make a copy of that text area. So I just dragged it over there. I just made a copy of that text. And now I'll select the original text box, and I'll click right before the I in 19th and press backspace to remove the space between August and 19th. And then I'll press Shift and Enter to add a soft return. So there we've just created a soft return, and now we can see that there's a little annotator off to the right side of the type object. And if I double click the annotator, it will convert the area type to point type. Which it has, and now you can see the change in the annotator. It's now hollow, that indicates a point text. And now if I hold down the Shift key and drag the lower right bounding point down and to the right, I can expand the text, and holding down the Shift key will constrain the typeface properly and it won't distort it. It will enlarge it but not distort it if I hold down the Shift key. So now let's import a plain text file, and we can use a number of different programs to import text. I'll choose the second artboard. And we can place text just like we place images. I'll go to File and then down to Place, and in the Weeks folder I want to select the l8text.txt file. And I want to make sure that I select the Show Import Options. So I'll select that and then just click Place. And there my cursor is loaded with the text. So now I'll move the loaded text icon onto the Aqua Guide, and I'll just click and drag down and to the right. There's the import dialog box. We don't really need to change anything in there, so I'll just click, hold, and drag down using the guide to create a text area. And now the text box has been filled with that imported text. So we actually want our text in two different places. I'm going to get my selection tool and move the bounding box of that text box up a little bit so that we end up with some extra text that doesn't fit in that box. And that red plus in the lower right hand corner of the text box indicates that we have overset text. So I'm going to click that overset text icon to load my cursor again with some text. So the rest of that text has been loaded onto my cursor, and down towards the bottom of the artboard, I'll click, hold, and drag another text area. And it will fill with the remaining text that was overset in the original text box. And when I do that, you can notice this little blue line that connects the two paragraphs, meaning that those text areas are now threaded. And if I make any changes to the text area, these two text boxes will accommodate those changes. So threading text like this is a very good idea.